Greetings and salutations. How are you all doing? My 13-year-old son, whenever I ask him how he's doing, he says the following: "I'm fine and very well." Oh, good, Calvin. He's always fine and very well, which is a nice phrase to use. But I hope underneath the pat answers of good or I'm okay, when you actually reflect on it, when you think about how you're doing, hopefully you do say things like, you know what, I am dealing with some things in my business. Things aren't perfect, but I'm encouraged. I'm motivated. I got a little fire in my belly. I'm ready to step into this upcoming year with enthusiasm unknown to mankind, as Jim Harbaugh, the former Michigan coach, would say. So hopefully this note is finding you well. Today we're going to talk about, this will be a little more of a briefer, if that's a word, a briefer podcast. And we're going to talk specifically around smaller remodeling projects, handyman projects, these opportunities that present themselves. Most of you who are listening to this are doing some bigger remodeling projects, maybe some full design build projects, full kitchens, full bathrooms, basements, additions, bigger projects. And whether it be through the normal marketing channels, people may reach out to you for replacing trim, for replacing some doors, for some of these smaller projects, if you will, maybe some flooring, maybe some minor kitchen remodels that you're capable of doing, but don't necessarily want to make a priority in your marketing. And especially for some of you who have in-house carpenters, in-house field team members, the challenge of keeping your team busy through the ebbs and flows of these remodeling projects can be a challenge. So over the years, as I've coached, the topic of handyman, the topic of smaller projects come up fairly regularly. I was looking at I went to Remodelers on the Rise. I clicked on podcast and I just searched the word handyman. There was a great podcast did around COVID times with a gentleman named Mike Medford. He's down in Texas and he started a full handyman division. I'll tell you more about that in a minute. But I wanted to play a recording from Luke Thomas. He is the owner of H&L Design Build. If you go on Instagram in particular, hldesign.build is the company Instagram page, or Luke C. Thomas is Luke's. He was part of the VIP club a year or two back, so I got to know him through that. And Bailey's about to work some magic, and she's going to play the post that kind of inspired, that's the word I was looking for, that inspired this podcast. And you're going to hear something called H&L Shorts. Let's go ahead and listen to that. Go ahead, Luke.
When you have a good thing going, you get a lot of requests, many of which are smaller projects that we usually cannot fit. Maybe it's updating trim and flooring, minor kitchen updates. Maybe it's removing that pesky separation wall to open up the floor plan. H&L has grown, and at this point, we only take larger jobs that are at least 6 weeks. However, because we are often finishing up projects on time or early, we're excited to open up some slots for smaller projects. We're calling it H&L Shorts. We have some availability this winter and early spring in between our larger additions and larger renovations. You can fill out the inquiry form on our website. Just be sure to mention it's an H&L Short. We'll get back to you with our availability.
All right. So a few things that I like about it. One thing that's a challenge is when you start to promote handyman, there's kind of inherently a challenge with that. To really run a handyman division in your company well, you really need to almost treat it as a standalone business if you're really going to go after it. I apologize to my friends Ken and Tony. Premier Building and Remodeling is what I was going for, PBR. I stumbled on their name, even though they're longtime clients of mine. Ken and Tony decided several years back that they were going to start Executive Home Repair, a total standalone division in their company. And to pull off a handyman division, you almost need to go the route like they did, where they found Joel. Joel was running his own business, Joel has the ability to meet with homeowners, to do some rough estimating on smaller projects, to put a little proposal together, to have the client sign off on that, to actually do the work. He's multifaceted in his ability to do some of these handyman projects and to collect the payment. Having somebody that can really run all of that out of their truck is a really good recipe for success on the handyman side. The other challenge with handyman work is you need to charge a rate that makes it worth it, that makes it profitable. And a lot of times there's some tension between what you need to charge and maybe what the homeowner is expecting to pay. So the handyman division is not necessarily a super simple way to go. As you were listening to Luke describe this, one thing I liked is the branding of this, of calling it shorts. We generally do projects that last 6 weeks or longer. Or another way you could say it is we do projects that involve 3 or 4 or more different trades. We do our best work on projects where we are managing our own team plus electrical and plumbing and all the different aspects to pull together a remodel. Yet, we also have the ability to do shorter projects. We call them H&L shorts. That's what really jumped out at me. And I love the idea of saying we have some availability from time to time in between our bigger projects. I hear a lot of remodelers over the years say, we can help you with that, but the way that works is we keep a list of projects that are more handyman, that are smaller projects. And as we have gaps in our main remodeling schedule, that's when we fit in these projects. So every so often we have a Thursday where we tackle projects like that. We have a Thursday, Friday where we tackle projects like that. So as long as the homeowner is aware that it's going to fit into your schedule and are cool with that, you can kind of take on some of these filler type projects. Okay. So that's the biggest thing I wanted to highlight was one, sharing maybe a few examples of some of the challenges in the handyman model. And I really wanted to highlight as a best practice what H&L Design Build is doing here of positioning it where it's not detracting from the main projects that they're taking on. And that makes it pretty clear and branded in a way that homeowners would go, yeah, we've got one of those kind of short projects that we would love to get on your guys' radar or get onto your schedule to fit in as you guys are able. So keep thinking about that, especially if you have an in-house team. I think that's the main thing I wanted to share with you all. Like I said, it was a shorter podcast episode. Couple other things, I suppose, if you were thinking about going the handyman route, keep it simple. As much as we don't do T&M type work when it comes to full remodeling work, when it comes to more handyman type work, the T&M model is quick and clean and easy. If you start putting together proposals for this $700 project, for this $1,200 project, the work involved in going back to the office and putting a proposal together and emailing it over and getting it signed off and getting a deposit, the workload involved in all of that really muddies it up and makes it challenging. One of my early clients when I started working with remodelers, and still a client of mine, Oddfellows Contracting, I remember, and Brett still quotes this to this day, of as I was analyzing the projects they were doing, the revenue that was coming in, it jumped out at us that 65% of their projects were resulting in 5% of their revenue. And especially the way he was doing it, they were putting proposals together. They were sending it out. They were getting it signed off. And all of that administrative work and estimating work just made for a really messy, noisy, difficult, challenging business approach for them. In their case, they started being more picky about the types of projects they were taking on. But when you think of the handyman side, come up with a approach that is probably in that $125, $135, $140 an hour range to make it worth it for you, plus adding a certain percentage on materials, but make it really clean and really simple to quote and to bill and to execute. So that's kind of a best practice that I see fairly often on the handyman side. Don't fall into the trap of, if we just take on small projects, those could lead to bigger projects. That strategy, if you're treating those handyman projects as regular projects, again, can get pretty messy. Position it where you are controlling the narrative of how this goes. Set that expectation, just like Luke did, and that I mentioned, that these types of projects, we do not know when exactly we will get to them. We will be able to give you kind of a range of time frame of when we'll get to them, but they come up as availability comes up, as we have gaps amongst our regular schedule of things. Okay. And I think the other thing I would say is I think sometimes handyman work is kind of attractive from the outside looking at it, of going, ooh, this could be another revenue stream. This could be wonderful. And I would couple everything I said with also saying sometimes it's good not to be distracted about it. It's good to just turn down smaller projects, turn down handyman work, and put more focus on your bread and butter, more focus on the projects that are really driving the success of your remodeling business. So that might undermine a little bit of what I said, but handyman is not for everybody. Think strategically about it. Think wisely about it. Position it appropriately. Price it in a simple and clear way, so that it doesn't get murky and it doesn't get clunky. And those are some thoughts related to shorts, related to handyman, related to smaller projects. Hope there was a nugget or two in there that was helpful. But that's all I got to say about that. That's a Forrest Gump reference for those of you listening. And depending on when you're listening to this, this could be perfectly timed, or you could be listening to this in the middle of the year and it might not be super timely. But we're, as I'm recording this, it's December 3rd, and we're nearing the conclusion of this year. This is a great time to reflect on what worked and focus on that for a bit. What worked this year? Where did you make progress? What did you implement that was new? What did you improve? Who did you bring onto your team, whether internally and as an employee or even trade partners? Are you more organized on your financials? Think about and marinate in the things that you did make progress on and celebrate it. Make that list. Make a big old list of big things and small things and minute things and large things that you did make progress on, and celebrate that. And recognize team members of yours that made progress, training that you implemented, clarity that you received in your business. Celebrate that. And then instead of just focusing on what didn't work this year, let's focus and celebrate what did work and get pumped up about that. And then let's focus on this upcoming year of 2025. Cast a vision for it. What are you going to accomplish? What are some of your goals? All of us work better when we have goals that we're aiming for. They need to be realistic. They need to be attainable. You don't want to stress yourself out and set a goal that's unrealistic and then, don't make it. But it is a great time of the year to get reinvigorated, get encouraged, get motivated, set some new intentions, set some new goals for you personally and also for your business. Have some of your team members do the same thing. Hey, team member that's been with me for 6 years, tell me about some of your goals. Maybe some personal ones, but also what are some goals you have in your position in this business? What are some things you're going to drive forward and improve this upcoming year? So wanted to hit you with that. Both of those are positive things. One is reflect on improvements that you made. We are so quick to not sit in and see the improvements, and we're so quick to just bypass them and forget about them. And we just fixate and focus on what we didn't do, what we didn't accomplish, progress that I wanted to make that I didn't. It's not going to be super helpful for us. Focus on what you did improve. Celebrate that. Consider that. See the progress. See the remodeler on the rise aspect of things. And then it's a good time of the year to get clear, get motivated, set some good goals for this upcoming year. So if you didn't get anything from the handyman side, maybe you got a nugget or two or a plan from that planning side. Appreciate you listening. Looking forward to finishing this year strong, but I'm also looking forward to a wonderful 2025. Don't hesitate to reach out. There's a lot of different ways Remodelers on the Rise can help you become and continue on your journey. Be well. See ya.